policy for whenever somebody is saying some factually inaccurate stuff about me online is to turn the other cheek, keep my head down, and get back to grinding. But in this case, with Mr. Nick Shirley, who is now falsely accusing me of conducting an unfairly interview, I think I'm going to pick option 2 and let people know what went down. Journalistic integrity is something that I kind of take a little bit seriously, and I can see a future wherein access is limited to prominent people, especially conservatives, if I don't dispel this false narrative immediately in its entirety right the heck now. So to do this right, I'll have to show you a couple of things, including text messages between him and I, and actual footage of the working premiere sequence that I used to edit the interview, so you can see what was cut and why. So let's begin with an editing lesson. So when we're dealing with a long-form interview of somebody who talks very slowly and circles back to repetitive talking points, one of the first things that we do in post-production is cutting what's called dead air, which means long pauses between words or sentences, or fixable verbal stammers that slow down the conversation and risk boring the viewer. So in this raw...
Okay, yeah, sorry, Andrew, guys, I disagree. If you have dead air, right, a lot of it will be irrelevant, and you're gonna cut the irrelevant parts, right? The cuts that Nick showed, right, were absolutely relevant. They were absolutely, and they would not count as dead air in that topic. Guys, if you're in the middle of a serious topic, and something important and relevant happens in the conversation, you cannot cut it under the guise of dead air. It absolutely is more relevant than maybe anything else in the video. So I don't agree with this at all.
Interview with Nick, which had a total runtime of 2 hours and 2 minutes, we had to cut nearly half an hour of dead air to make it listenable. Many people like to choose their words carefully, so I get it, but there was a couple points in the interview that even in person we had to have Nick repeat himself because the crew felt that no amount of corrective editing would possibly be able to make him sound normal.
It's been an interesting few days, past 72 hours. My video on the expose of the fraud in Minnesota is the most viewed video ever, longer than 10 minutes, other than Mr. Beast.
Can you say the fraud in Minnesota again? Because you kind of stuttered.
Yeah. Oh, wait, are there going to be cuts in this?
What? No, he didn't.
There's going to be one take.
Which will make it perfect. So if we ask for to say it again, it's just to make sure you say it perfectly.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, so my video on the fraud in Minnesota is the most viewed video ever by a creator, longer than 10 minutes, expose style, than anybody other than the name of Mr. Beast.
So bear with me here. I'm going to show you the raw footage, and we'll see how with the magic of editing, we were able to make Nick sound actually smarter and faster than he was in person. Check this out. How does that make you feel, like gratification-wise, as an independent journalist?
Well, I think it's the first video you've seen in a long time where a journalist actually went and created a video that created a change instantaneously. For instance, you had the HHS, Health and Human Services. They froze all funding to childcare inside of Minnesota. And then they're asking for businesses to prove that they are legit businesses before they give tax dollars to these businesses that are not really businesses.
How does that make you feel, like gratification-wise, as an independent journalist?
Well, I think it's the first video you've seen in a long time where a journalist actually went and created a video that created a change instantaneously. For instance, you had the Health and Human Services. They froze all funding to childcare inside of Minnesota, and then they're asking for businesses to prove that they are legit businesses before they give tax dollars to these businesses.
So in that interview, we probably did that same thing as far as trimming dead air and splicing B-roll. No joke, probably 30 times, as you can see here on the timeline. And it was never to take him out of context, but to help him get his point across. We do this for every good faith interview or 5-cast we've conducted so far. From Hunter Biden, which had a raw runtime of 5 hours before being cut to 3:24, to Hunter Kozak, to Alex Jones, to Hamilton Morris, Jan DeSanti, to pretty much everybody we've ever talked to.
Exactly.
I'll let him finish, but I know what you're trying to do. I don't agree.
And there's this conflation that people have. I mean, I think they're opening up an investigation to cocaine that was found in a cubby outside the.
Guys, this video is made in response to the video where Nick showed what he actually said behind the scenes, right? And showed him the statistics and whatever, XQC right? That is absolutely relevant. And you say wait, but like. You're missing the point, though. Like, it's perfectly okay to me to have a bad taste in my mouth because of how it's being presented initially. Sorry. I'll let him finish, though, but... yo,
the West Wing of the White House.
If I wait till the end of the video, you guys will say... You guys won't know the context of what I'm saying. I like to watch this video and say it as it's happening. as my thoughts as it's happening, so you don't get away with some bullshit at the end. And you, oh, what are we talking about anymore? Let's move on. I'm not letting you do
We're
that.
live podcasters, and we like to package our interviews for efficiency and entertainment value. So that's just something that we do. So the other cuts in the
I'll
Nick
still
Shirley
do it myself
interview
after
weren't
if
dead
I
air
don't- if I
related,
didn't do it
were
right.
conversational beats that I personally found either boring, repetitive, or so off topic to the point that they derailed the conversation away from its intended focus, which was fraud in Minnesota and Shirley's personal background. We cut probably 25 minutes of unproductive, redundant banter.
I'm not defensive. Chat's just being annoying. I'm not being defensive. I am attacking something objectively, and people are giving me pushback for no reason. And is they let it finish? Let it finish. I'm doing the play by play.
About Portland, Mormonism, gay marriage, his new crypto coin. I heard you also made a coin of some kind.
I did not. Well, I didn't make a coin. I just joined a platform where you can monetize your content, and there actually, so yeah, it is a coin. You can then monetize your content, just similar to like how you upload on TikTok. You can upload your stuff on there. It's just based off Coinbase.
The history and ethics of welfare in America, and 6 whole, nearly identical back and forths about his 89% statistic.
You're right. I mean, he did bring it up. That's perfectly fine though. It's what, guys. It's a conversation. It's perfectly fine to ask a question and then cut it out, and then to bring it up that you cut it out. That's perfectly fine. I don't think that's relevant in any way. This is fine. It's moving on.
But he falls back on unchallenged.
89% of the fraud is being committed by Somalians, and 89% of the fraud being committed inside Minnesota is by the Somalian population. 89% of the fraud happening by people who were brought into our country and then committing fraud. So 89% of the fraud happening in Minnesota is from the Somalian population.
Right, but 95% of Somali Americans in Minnesota are legal.
Yeah, 89% of Somalians are committing fraud.
Since we ended up including an extensive dialogue about that stat around the 50-minute mark of the final cut, I personally didn't feel the need to torture all of you guys with 5 other versions of that conversation.
89% of the population, or 89% of the fraud being committed in Minnesota is by Somalians.
Yeah, but understood. But I don't think that's okay, guys. Let me rewatch the initial video. The problem with that isn't the stat itself and the repetitiveness of it. It's the fact that that it was fact checked, and in the video it seemed like he was dismissing it.
I agree that Democrat-run states are doing bad.
Drew posted.
Somali community, or do you see it as both?
89% of the fraud is being committed by Somalians.
Where exactly is that statistic from?
You can pull it up on the screen. You'll find it.
I just want to know where it's from.
You want me to find it right now?
For sure, just so I can, I don't know, I believe you. I just want to make sure we have the exact.
Here, right here. Yeah, and it's not racist to say it. Probably. And when I go...
This is what happens when I show him the fact that 89% of the people who have been charged for fraud in Minnesota are Somalians. This is what Andrew had to say. But remember, he conveniently left this out of the interview.
89% of those charged in connection with major. Wow. Identified as Somali Americans. Well, looks like we've got to redo there. I'm interested to see what you put in this interview, because it looks like there's a problem with fraud.
So there you go. That's just 2 examples from the interview with Andrew Callaghan.
Okay, I understand that. So he did put in the video though. That he showed the stat on the video with the whatever. I think that's fair enough then. Yeah, I don't.
Anything but watching the video.
So that is in the main video. Is the video? That seems fine then. That seems fine. That seems like it's.
And just so we can put that on screen to verify, do you know where that data is from?
Yes, you can put it up on screen. It's public.
And if you watch that raw cut, the 2-hour cut, which I made clear in text with Nick that I was willing to share with him in 4K when I got back from Greenland.
Being called dead air, blah blah.
You will see exactly what I mean. This is not a Sacha Baron Cohen style ambush edit or a Jim Jeffries Avi Yemeni situation where I primed him, by saying crazy shit to get his guard down and then Shanghai him in post-production. I was trying to help Nick Shirley, which it seems up until yesterday he really appreciated. So after the interview came out about a week ago, he texted me right after saying the backdrop of this interview is hilarious. It was filmed in his uncle's upscale game room in Farmington, Utah, in front of several taxidermied bears that were presumably killed by the Shirley family. He goes on to say, fun watching the reaction from both sides. Appreciate you coming out. Wish you the best in all you do, bro. To which I replied kindly. But then the Clippers started doing the thing that they do Hunter Biden, finding the most outrageous or dumb soundbite in the entire piece and memeing it into oblivion while missing the entire point of the dialogue, which was to try to find common ground on issues like affordability and the collapse of the mainstream media.
I mean, I fundamentally hope that everything you're saying is true, just so you know.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah,
I hope we all have the best interest in society and
Yeah, he got clip chipped on G. I mean, it is what it is. It's unfortunate these days, but you have to stand on business these days and just kind of just tank it. It is what it is. if you get clip chimped, right? So be it. It is what it is. That is an ecosystem that is parallel. It's not perpendicular. It is parallel to everything. And if they want to get a W off of you, they will get a W off of you. Is what it is.
Our people, because
Yeah.
the affordability is insane and people can't buy houses. And if we're talking about creating change, we need to
These
let
days,
innovation
yeah.
prosper inside the
Last
United
2 or 3
States.
years.
Yeah.
Two
And we're
years.
not seeing it. We're not seeing innovation. In fact, we're seeing fraudsters take our money.
If you guys saw, the clip that did the most rounds was when Nick tried and failed to pronounce the word benevolent.
Who do you think are the 3 most benevolent billionaires?
What do you mean by the word benevolent?
Just well-intentioned, positive billionaires who you think are creating.
I don't think I need to apologize for my initial statement to Andrew. It's still an L in general. The video feeling that I watched the video that he put out there. I didn't get the vibe in any way that he kind of did give any validity to some of his points. When is in the long cut, you could see that he is okay. Yeah, this is concerning. I didn't get that feeling at all. Yet he did have that feeling. I think that's kind of important to showcase that. Yeah, there is a problem, and you can still say, "Hey man, hey, there is a problem," but I'm not gonna be racist about it. I'm not gonna be a weirdo about it. But I can still acknowledge the problem. I didn't get that vibe of it, and in fact, in the video, in the shortcut of the video, didn't really sell me on that, and that's bad.
You know, net positive societal progress.
Trump, our president?
Because he never said it right and said benevolent twice, there was no way to cut the dead air or trim the stammer. So we left it in, and personally,
be
I don't think
unbiased?
it's that big of a deal to not know that word. I mean, he is wearing a hoodie that is making fun of immigrants for their spelling errors, but benevolent has more syllables than learning, so I get it. But the comments on this clip were brutal, like actually genuinely mean. And it couldn't have felt good from his perspective to read these things. We're talking tens of thousands of people declaring this guy is retarded, which he's not. But there are some moments in the interview that even with dead air trimmed for speed, Nick does not give his best performance, particularly when blaming immigrants for rising rent prices.
It's just simple supply and demand. If you have 20 million people who need to come and buy a house or rent an apartment, and you have other people who need it, you're going to raise the prices.
Why the
Guys,
Suggesting that-
this
this-
guy recording
guys-
this on an airplane?
Because he's busy. Andrew's actually busy. He does shit. He probably saw the response. Either at the airport where there's a lot of noise, or in the airport where there's a little bit, or in the plane where there's a little bit maybe less noise before it starts. I think he's perfectly fine. He actually is busy. He's not fake busy. He actually is busy on G. No, he absolutely is busy. Could have done it after, but this was like a very kind of time sensitive thing. What was I gonna say about it, guys? This is something that I also deal with. Okay, your points will be less valid if you are a bad communicator. Am I a bad communicator? Yeah, I suck at English, and sometimes I stutter with my words. It doesn't make my points less valid, but people will feel a certain way about it. Perfectly fine, right? But if you do make a point about them, about other people, and you do try to call them out for bad wording, bad English mastery, as a bad communicator, you're gonna feel it. People are gonna come at you. Is what it is. I don't think it's completely unfair. I think it's a little bit unfair, not completely unfair. It's predictable.
Suggesting that Muslim Americans keep multiple wives in private while dismissing the association with his own religion, Mormonism, and polygamy as just a harmful stereotype.
As far as the wives go, that's not a thing in Utah.
It's not a thing in Utah.
That's a negative stereotype.
Negative stereotype.
And also confronting me about staying silent on the death of Charlie Kirk, while admitting that he consciously chose to not watch the video that I made in the immediate aftermath of it.
And so I thought that was kind of messed up of you to not publicly denounce what happened to Charlie Kirk.
I did.
And I didn't even watch the interview because I didn't want to watch that.
Well, you should watch it.
I don't want to.
Well, you should watch the
not?
video because I say some stuff in it.
Okay, cool.
None of these moments were a very good look for Nick, but I did not engineer them that way. And if I was a betting man, I would suggest that much of the hostility displayed toward him in the comments is because his reporting, which was signal boosted by Trump and his cronies, has been a driving factor in ICE's decision to escalate their presence in Minneapolis. You know, kidnapping kids from local high schools, terrorizing U.S. citizens in their own communities, shooting people on the streets, and hiding behind masks like the goddamn cowards they are. However, that's just my personal opinion. I don't like ICE. I don't like Trump, which is something that I made clear to Nick in the interview.
What do you think about Trump?
I don't like him.
There was no deception anywhere, but sometimes, and I'm not sure what the word is for this in the journalism field, The person that you interview views your fans as an extension of you. So if your fans are dicks to them, they kind of feel like that's you shading them. And that's definitely what happened. Right after the benevolent clip went micro-viral, Nick began to send texts to me that alluded to the footage being manipulated, writing, "Greenland will be epic and cold. Let me know if you need any locals. I still have some contacts there. Just curious though, why didn't you post a full 2+ hour interview instead of the selected 1 hour of the interview?"
I mean, the reality is the video would have done poorly. 1, 2, people would have watched less of the important bits because they have to suffer through the bad bits, which is in fact bad, even worse for Nick's message or Nick's points overall. But 3, it also makes Nick look worse and would have gotten more insults. I don't disagree with the cuts. I don't think that's that problem.
Notice the word selected. Nick suggests that I cherry-picked his worst moments, which is concerning because we consciously did the opposite. But as you can see from these,
I think it's fair. I think there's a middle ground somewhere where some people do this. Some people do this, and not a lot of people do this, where they have 2 channels, right? And they'll post uncuts on one and cut on their main channel. And sometimes the other one will do better, right? But it can be interesting for people to watch both of them if they want that much. Because the problem is that YouTube the video will do poorly. Less people will be served the video, right? Because the long cut is less interesting, right? And some videos, I think some interviews with like Ye or something like that, end up doing better because people want to know that much and people want to see much more of them behind the scenes, and they watch the whole thing. But it's a hard game to play that.
text, I explained our entire editing process to him, as I did to all of you. And as I mentioned, even offered to send him all of the raw video files when I get home from Greenland, which I'm doing now, and gave him full permission to clip any and all moments of the piece for his own socials. Fast forward to 2 days later. I wake up in Nuuk, Greenland to see that Nick has posted a video filmed on a sly side camera, captioned something like, "In case you guys want to know how the interview really went, here's this." Nick's bullshit crybaby video here points to 2 pieces of damning evidence. Exhibit A. Nick grills me here about Democrat cities being catastrophic failures after failing to understand that I am not a supporter of the Democrat Party. I am from Seattle, a failed blue city, and then asks me to name thriving blue cities. So I named Austin, Nashville, El Paso, and then while smirking, I mentioned Denver because, as shown in Nick's angle, I didn't actually know if Denver was doing well because I don't spend much time in Colorado.
Like, when have you seen an American city? What American city is prospering right now?
Austin.
Austin. Name another one.
El Paso, Texas.
El Paso, Texas is prospering.
Yeah.
I mean,
Why-
I mean, if you're gonna get mad about cuts and then you cut it as a gotcha, I mean, buddy, that's not great.
You think?
It's doing better. New bars and restaurants have opened, but I can probably think of some better examples.
what?
Nashville's doing good. Austin's doing good. Phoenix is doing good. Basically, any place with low state tax is getting a lot of.
In any place that's not Democrat.
I don't know about that. I mean,
Name a Democrat city that's prospering right now.
I said 10 times before this interview, Nick Guy can't perform. He's getting questioned. Yeah, I mean, I said last time. I mean, I didn't want to be rude to Nick or whatever, but yeah, the guy does not perform well under pressure, and that sucks because a lot of times people that aren't good debaters or good orators or whatever, like they have a good point and they'll get like a hitch in some place where it's like, oh. What are okay? Is this country in Asia or, and you just don't know whatever? It doesn't mean that you're wrong by everything else you're saying, but it'll feel this way as the one that's talking. When you're the one that's talking, you're gonna feel like you're sort of losing, and you're gonna see yourself kind of like you're gonna turtle, and that sucks. But that's what it is.
well, it would have to be one that's affordable.
Name one.
A city inside of a blue state that is prospering. Denver.
Why are you smirking?
Because I don't know if it's prospering or not.
Because it's not.
I'm just
See, you can't even answer the question, dude.
I don't know.
It's not prospering. Denver's not prospering either.
But in post-production, I did
Well,
some
I mean, he
research
answered
and
it
found
in
out that
4
my
different
intuition
cities
was
before,
correct.
though.
Denver is currently experiencing a decline in violence and property crime, a large influx in
It's just
population,
banter, like-
job growth in the aerospace, tech, and healthcare sectors, and a number of other great things. So I chose to trim a brief section after I mentioned Denver that indicates a bit of self-doubt, given that I ended up being correct. I also trimmed a soundbite where I said that many Democrat cities are run poorly because it was redundant. After our conversation about Denver, I then launched into a tirade about how I am not a Democrat, don't believe in the capacity of the two-party system to enact meaningful change, believe that Gavin Newsom has misappropriated California's tax revenue through NGOs, reinforce my belief in voting on the local level, and then give Nick the benefit of the doubt and say that I hope he's right about Trump and the GOP's ability to mitigate the affordability crisis that's made many places like my hometown, Seattle, unlivable for those who grew up there.
So I support voting on a local level for sure.
I also suggest if you're watching this
For real.
and you want to see videos that I've made about dysfunctional blue cities, watch San Francisco streets, Albuquerque streets, Las Vegas tunnels, and Philly streets. So the second clip that Nick posted really makes my blood boil because it is so disingenuous.
No, that's it.
As I mentioned 6 or 7 times in this interview, Nick
No, you did not. No, you did not. Andrew, I will never. No, you did not. On the main screen, on the main picture, that's crazy.
references the stat that 89% of fraud in Minnesota is committed by Somalis. We aired the version where we asked him to show us the data on his phone, which he found using Google search results powered by ChatGPT. So in the video he posted, you can see me look in the camera after he shows it to me and saying something like, all right, damn, I guess he's right then. Let's put that on screen.
Here, right here, the figure 89% does not represent the total percentage of all fraud in Minnesota. Instead, it refers to the percentage of individuals charged in connection with specific high-profile federal fraud cases. Millions.
John, let me do a pause. You guys, people that are like him, right? That go on these shows, whatever. They have their shit locked down. Yo, they have their stats and their stuff already. They've learned it. They've studied it. They have it. A lot of them do. A lot. You can say question mark. You can say question mark. At least their main point. If they have one argument, guys, this city is violent, right? That's their prerogative or whatever. They have at least one of their stat ready. All I'm saying is that this guy would do a lot better if his main points and his main shit, he had his shit like already screenshotted, already ready. He would be at least sounding more convincing if he had that. Instead of pulling up on the fly thing.
89% of those charged in connection with major. Wow.
Identified as Somalian Americans.
Well, looks like we do. Looks like
I'm interested to see what you put in this interview because
looks like there is a problem with fraud.
He is kind of right. However, the stat refers specifically to the already litigated Feeding Our Future case, which resulted in over 60 fraud convictions in Minnesota. The ringleader of the nonprofit behind the scam, Amy Bach, is white, but it is true that 89% of convicted defendants in that case were Somali. And that's what makes me so pissed about this.
So it's just that case, right? And Google picks up that one case as for all fraud in that state, and that's represented as like a class. This is a classic AI bullshit. I don't know how much you guys use AI in general. AI does that shit all the time. It takes whatever it has or some one report. If there's other reports and other stats that are down a search, it doesn't give a. It doesn't care. It'll post that one thing as gospel and then move on. It is what it is.
Particular piece of evidence that Nick presents.
It is all the time.
The exact thing that he is showing me on his phone in the video is what I put on screen on the final cut. I did exactly.
Claim that written in a social media, not an official source. The claim has been widely circulated information authorities.
Exactly what I said I would. He frames my decision to put that on screen
How
as
would you
some
even know
kind of
this?
like liberal ball-busting fact check, but it's actually supplemental context for something he is literally showing me, which is why it pisses me off. So that's all I have to say. I'm just in a phase in my life where I've been doing this for so long, and I care about this so much that I don't want to play these kind of games, especially with people who can't take an L. I want to put my credibility on the line by spinning things in a way that benefits their reputation.
He literally went out of his way to try and make me look bad, which is not cool. And I wouldn't say that's like very benevolent of him to do.
I think my policy moving forward, especially when working with people who are filming their own versions of things and lack the integrity to be honest with their fan base, is to either go live during every interview or upload the full raw files on Patreon the moment a final cut hits YouTube, so there's no room for these kinds of shenanigans, because it's exhausting and I've got real investigations and real documentaries in the field, in the works, that I need to prioritize over these malevolent antics. 2026, keep my name out your mouth. 5.
Yeah, I agree with most of it. I think my main point is still relevant. I think the feel you're getting for something is is also kind of important, especially when and then you'll say, oh, but he has to remain unbiased. But it's unbiased when it's supposed to be unbiased when you don't agree with it. But when you agree with it, then the bias kind of shows. Then that's biased. Being absolutely unbiased is, I mean, bro, you have to start a business. Like, it's not easy, and just the feel of it is at least decently biased. Which is pretty fine. I don't even have a problem with it. But let's not act like it's totally unbiased. You guys enter unbiased. It's not a point of defense that really sticks here. So yeah, I do think that the response from Nick looked incriminating for Andrew. Ended up being not that incriminating. If I were to give this a rating, I would say Nick would be wrong on 85% on this, and Andrew still gets 15%. That's what I say. That's my rating anyway about this. Or 89%.
Critical thinking skills are the same as a 5-year-old. Move on and do runs.
And you could have debunked what I just said in one don't know, and say you just said, oh, bad comprehension, but you didn't actually address anything. So classic, again, for the millionth time. The guy cannot show up with an argument just so it just does the ad hominem. Classic.